Now, Ace Magashule, the suspended SG of the ANC, has failed in his bid to get his suspension overturned in court. Magashule turned to the courts to have the step-aside rule of the governing party deemed unconstitutional. He was suspended by the party in May as he failed to step aside after being charged with corruption and fraud, that in connection with a multi-million-rand tender on asbestos roofing in the Free State. This, of course, during his time as Premier of the Free State. Well, Mr. Magashule joins me now. Thank you so much, sir, for your time this evening. Before we start chatting about law and politics and everything that's happened, this is a truly tragic day here in Johannesburg with the loss of our mayor. And it just hits home, but this pandemic is still horribly very much with us. I'm sure that you would want just to pay a little tribute to him before we start.
Yeah, it is very tragic to have lost Comrade Jeff Makubo. I'm sure it's so saddening for the family. We want to say, pass our condolences to the family of the ANC, to friends, to relatives. But it's not only Comrade Jeff, General Pitso, one of MK comrades who was a general, and many other South Africans, black and white. I think this pandemic is dangerous, and I think that's why at times we don't want to listen when we are told to really observe some of the things because COVID does kill. So our condolences to everybody affected, families affected, children. To Makubo family, we are sorry, but it has happened. The struggle must continue.
Yeah, it is a truly very tragic day. And, yeah, his death just stresses, I think, the fact that so many others have died in Gauteng in particular. Let's move to the matter of the day. And, of course, your matter came to court. You weren't successful. Talk me through, you believe the judgment is flawed. Talk me through the next step for you legally. What happens now?
Maybe what I shouldn't do today is to make myself a lawyer. I do have some legal background. I studied LLB 1, and I had to leave the country. Let me leave legal matters to the lawyers, a very competent team. And I was saying to Comrade Dalimpofu today, you are like George Bezos. During the times of apartheid, you are like Arthur Chaskelson. Those were white lawyers who were prepared to represent those who were oppressed, exploited, those who were marginalized. Not many other people wanted to deal with such cases. And they lost a lot of cases, many cases, but it was not about winning or losing. And when they lost, people thought that, but everybody has recognized that they were the best team. I said to Dalimpofu today and the team, you are the best. I have heard your arguments and I agree with you, as I have said. And we have now decided to appeal because you remember even in the appeal case, the ANC, there's one member who took us to court called Punani in Limpopo. When he was not put on the list, he went to court. We lost. She won. We appealed. She won again. So what I'm just trying to clarify through this example is that losing at the level of a high court, there are other higher courts where one can actually go because we do believe that we have a tight case. I can't want to say the judges. What about judges' allegations of judges being captured and what have you? I don't want to enter that space. I think the judges have done their work here.
Sure.
And therefore, I appeal. And we have decided to appeal. Of course, we have 15 days to appeal. I have talked to my organization to say, indeed, I'm going to appeal because even the ANC was ready to appeal if they lost the case.
Sure, no, that's true.
I do what Ramagasa did. She appealed and she went to the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court set a record straight as to what should the ANC do when it's faced with these challenges. So we have appealed. We will be appealing the case.
Right. Now, within the party, you are temporarily suspended. Pule Mabe has confirmed to eNCA this afternoon that they consider you to still be suspended. Do you acknowledge that you are currently suspended, particularly now that the court process has failed?
Well, I'm still, remember, the court process, this case has not been exhausted. Allow me to exhaust all the legal processes, because I can go to the Supreme Court of Appeal, I can go to the Constitutional Court. The lawyers will decide, but we are appealing the case, and the status quo will remain. The ANC says I'm suspended, and therefore I will remain suspended. I have actually listened to what they have said, and that's why I went to court. And it means when you say earlier on you were suspended, that position happened because I went to court. It means the suspension, so the suspension is still on because I've appealed. I will say yes, Pule Mabe is right in that case, and the ANC is right to say I still remain a suspended secretary because they say the matter has not been finally exhausted.
Jacob Zuma
I am also saying
sure.
I'm going to exhaust this process legally, where possible, where we can resolve matters politically. I have always encouraged people
sure.
not to use the courts for political matters.
So I want to speak to you.
My position. It doesn't mean I'm not principled.
I hear you. I hear you. So Jacob Zuma was jailed this week. He lost in court that process to stay his arrest. You were in Nkandla this past weekend to show your support for him. How do you feel about the fact that he's been jailed?
I think it's so sad for South Africa today. I feel that we have betrayed what we have fought for, the gains of our revolution. I am not saying Comrade Zuma is not guilty of anything. I know that in terms of legal processes, Comrade Zuma did not refuse to appear before the Zondo Commission, so-called, because that is the Commission of Inquiry led by Judge Zondo. Comrade Zuma raised the matter, and I know he went to a high court to actually say he won't go there until the judge has actually recused himself or stepped aside, and he was prepared to go there. And he went to court, he loses and all that. And President Zuma, I spent on Saturday 3 hours with him, and he was telling us that even if we may be angry, we must remain cool, we must remain disciplined, because the ANC is not an organization of leaders. It's the organization of the people. We must care about the people. The unfortunate part, he said to me, you guys are not focusing on free education. You guys are not focusing on unemployment and retrenchments. People have been retrenched, 3 million, so many millions. People's houses have been repossessed, the cars. Children can't go to school. There is unemployment. There's no development we actually see.
We do face.
Also
you're right. We face extraordinary
So,
challenges. You mentioned that he said we should not be angry. We've seen a lot of scenes of anger in KwaZulu-Natal in the last 24 hours. We've seen roads blockaded, people protesting to free Jacob Zuma. Do you condemn those protests? Because a lot of them were destructive to property and caused a huge amount of unnecessary delays on our roads.
I'm not there. I don't know what is happening. The whole day I've been talking to the media. We have a democratically elected government. I know at times when people rise up, they think we are there. Sometimes ago, 2 weeks ago, News 24 said, allegedly Magashule in Harrismith. I've never been to Harrismith since 2017 conference. But look, if you ban a school, if you ban a clinic, if you ban anything, and we don't have resources, what's going to happen tomorrow? Can't we think about other ways and methods of resolving whatever challenges we are facing? This is where I commended the Minister of Police and the Commissioner and all the police in the country for having restrained themselves from doing what probably could have been another Marikana, and the president was going to be blamed for the second Marikana.
Are you saying that you would condemn any
form? Responsible leadership.
Sure.
It's responsible leadership to say, let us still not destroy what we have built over years.
Yeah. So am I correct that you would condemn any violent protest, even in the name of former President Zuma?
I wish former President Zuma was out. He could be talking to all of us and everybody. He has been one of the people who mentored me to say, when you are angry, even when you know that so-and-so is a spy or an informer, you don't talk about these things out there in the public because you can implode and explode the ANC. Because at times one is carried and you want to reveal things you know which are real things which the society doesn't actually know. But he taught me one thing, Ace Magashule, sometimes it looks like you are angry. In politics, if you want to build this organization, this is how you build it. And I was happy how the leadership of KwaZulu-Natal, led by Sihle Zikalala, has actually acted. And I think responsible leadership during these challenging times, very important. But we are not living under apartheid, where you can ban people not to talk, where you can ban people not to express themselves, where you can... No, we are not
sure.
That.
Well, that leads me on to my next point, and I'm sorry to be rushing you, Mr. Magashule.
You are calling for trouble.
Sure. So that brings me on to what happened to Carl Niehaus yesterday. He was showing his unhappiness. He was speaking to some members, I think, of MKMVA. But he was arrested by the police outside the Escort Correctional Facility. Of course, also, we know that the ANC has suspended Carl Niehaus, in part because comments he made, inflammatory in their view, at Nkandla in support of former President Zuma. I want to know from you, you referenced earlier that you compared your lawyers to the great George Bezos, who looked after so many activists during the apartheid years, that you see the lawyers today, your lawyers, as helping the oppressed, the exploited, the marginalized. Do you, along with people like Carl Niehaus, feel that you are being gunned for? Particularly in the fact that Carl Niehaus was expelled, but we haven't yet seen other members of the ANC expelled, who too were at an illegal gathering at Nkandla, illegal under the regulations for COVID-19. Do you fear, with the ANC saying that they're going to deal with ill discipline decisively and then suspending Carl Niehaus, that the writing's on the wall? Well,
this is where we needed the wisdom of the likes of Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Kresani, Moses Kotane, including Jacob Zuma. Maybe many South Africans don't know how patient Comrade Jacob Zuma is and how he has actually made sure that this organization, since after the unbanning, remains solid and united. And maybe people don't know who Carl Niehaus is. First, he was actually the communicator, spokesperson of the ANC Mandela time, immediately after the unbanning. One of the best, brightest, sharpest communicators in South Africa. Nobody talks about Carl Niehaus, who has been a member of MK. The man who has sacrificed his life as a student for this organization for more than 42 years, former ambassador of this country, and to pick him up amongst a lot of people. I was not there in KZN, I don't know what happened, so I won't enter that space. I don't know what the ANC was thinking when they suspended Carl Niehaus, when thousands and thousands of ANC leaders are disrespecting the organization. It looks like sometimes those who are disciplined, they will actually be dealt with. Those who are ill-disciplined will always rise and survive. I think it will never take long for ANC members to finally say, no, it can't happen. it has to come to a stop. So I can't talk on behalf of Carl Niehaus. I can't talk on behalf of the National Executive Committee or DC. I don't know what is happening there. I'm sure Carl Niehaus is the one who can address that matter. But we won't, I can assure you, we won't allow selective treatment of leadership, of membership, of society. We are living in a democratic South Africa. I have contributed, but I believe that the people who have better contributed are the masses of our people, it's not leaders. We are part and just messengers. So I believe that we still need a united, solid African National Congress. And I know that the enemy's hand is trying to divide Comrade Jessie and myself. I've worked with her. And earlier on, I think I said something about which I said, no, I must correct, because when I said the ANC sometimes surprises you, the ANC never said we must meet the Guptas and do corruption. We have never done corruption, but I was saying it is the ANC which introduced all premiers in 2009 to the Guptas, Sheraton Hotel in Pretoria. I can't get into details of such a meeting, but Comrade Jessie was not there. It was SC Secretary-General Gwede. At the right time, in a proper forum, a proper court of law, one is prepared to talk about those, except not to talk about secrets of the African National Congress. I'm a member, very disciplined. I will die a member. A membership, sometimes I say I'm a communist. I'm a communist without a Communist Party card, because you don't have sometimes to have cards to be a supporter of Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates. I'm a member of Siwelele team in the Free State. I don't have a Siwelele membership card, but that is the team I support, and that's why I respect majority of South Africans who are not card-carrying members of the ANC, but they are voters of the African National Congress. And I'm saying this organization is important than its leaders. The organization will remain, leaders will go. I'm not that important, and I am appealing to all of us to unite and renew this African National Congress. I can tell you, if you think you are arrogant, you are triumphant, you are strong, you can use state organs against us, I will show you how state organs have been used against us. I will show you how many witnesses or people were told to fabricate stories about me. I will show you how people are actually even saying he wants to assassinate and murder so and so. You guys make statements and all that. Thugs who are actually in prison, released, and now and then. Those things are things which one can only say. And I've said a lot of things which I cannot say out in the public when we meet with the top six of the ANC. And it is the same top six of the ANC which says charges against me are flimsy. We have record. If you are in a Zoom meeting, you record that meeting, and some of this on paper recorded in our meetings, in our minutes, and one will be able to show these things. But the ANC must still exist.
Mr. Magashule, thank you very much for
your time.
And
the people of South Africa, black and white must still unite to build this country. We don't hate white people who are rich and what have you. We are just saying let's share the wealth and the economy of this country. The black people today are going down. Unemployment is rising. Students can't go to universities. People's houses are being taken by banks. It can't be.
Mr. Magashule,
allow us to have our own vaccines.
Thank you.
I want Sputnik. Hello?
You're waiting for the Sputnik vaccine, you say?
Thank you. We're waiting for Sputnik. The country say we can choose. I want to choose China. I want to choose Cuba. I want to choose Russia. Please give us the right to choose.
They're coming.
Whatever medicine we want.
They're coming. I personally will take any vaccine offered to me, Mr. Magashule. And thank you very much for your time this evening. And we will look ahead to those charges. You say that you've been told they're flimsy. We will indeed see what the courts deliver come August when that comes to trial. Thank you so much, Mr. Ace Magashule. Well.